Hey there guys, and welcome back to the final episode of probono.org Let's Talk Law. And today we got a really exciting episode for our final installment of the series. Today I am joined with Advocate Mohamed Shafie Ameermia, who was a former full-time commissioner of the Human Rights Commission, SAHRC, a Robert Gilden visiting professor at Ohio University, Athens, Ohio, USA, and is currently the National Director at probono.org. And here are some of his recognition awards. And by this list, you can tell already that he gathers so much knowledge and has amazing amount of skills and dedication to the practice of law. In December 2023, he was conferred the adjunct professorship in the School of Education, University of Wits 2023 to 2026. In September 2023, he was awarded a scholarship and conferred the Robert Gilden Professorship at Ohio University, Athens, Ohio, USA. In November 2022, he received a certificate of appreciation for his contribution and role played in the publication of 160 Years of Inspiration, the national project of the 160th anniversary of the arrival of the first Indian indentured laborers to South Africa in November 1860. In June 2017, he was awarded the Dean Roberts G. Story and International Leadership Award by the Southwestern Institute for International and Comparative Law, SWIICL, Dallas, USA, and recognition of his achievements as a commissioner of the South African Human Rights Commission, SAHRC. In 2016, he received a certificate of appreciation from the Law Society of South Africa, LSSA, for his role at South Africa Human Rights Commission supporting the building of a better legal profession in South Africa. He is an admitted advocate of the High Court of the Republic of South Africa and currently the National Director of probono.org. He served as a legal consultant to the Center of Applied Legal Studies, CALS, at the University of Wits in Johannesburg, Republic of South Africa, from February 2022 to April 2022. He served as a full-time commissioner on the South African Human Rights Commission 2014 to 2021, and during this period, he was responsible for portfolios, namely access to justice, right to water and sanitation, access to right to housing, business and human rights. And between October 2016 and January 2017, he served as the acting chairperson of the SAHRC. He previously worked for the Limpopo government in the Republic of South Africa, where he served in various senior executive managerial capacities, advising on legal and socioeconomic rights-related matters, 2003 to 2013. He has also served in the town secretary and legal advisor for Makoto Municipality, Limpopo, in the Republic of South Africa from 1990 to 2002. Shafie, that is quite a list you have right there.
It's a lot of... Thank you, Emil, and good morning to all the listeners. It's been a tremendous journey. It's been a very fulfilling role that I played in the access to justice space, primarily because we used access to justice as a tool, for the liberation of this country from apartheid to freedom, liberty, equality, and dignity. It's been a long journey. It's been an arduous journey, but it's been a very fulfilling, lifelong journey for me. And it came with all its challenges. And where I sit today, the journey still continues. Access to justice to the poor and the vulnerable is still a dream for many. For many to live in dignity, for many to live in freedom, for many to live in equality. So we want to transform society in such a way to secure rights and restore people's dignity and to live in equality, freedom, that the Constitution gives all of us that privilege and honor. Unfortunately, we're not there. We're far from it. And hence, as a National Director at Pro Bono, we sit with these challenges where on a daily basis we see poverty, we see inequality, we see unemployment, we see the masses coming to our doors for help, and our doors are always open. We always say to everybody that we'll never turn anybody away. We will try our utmost best to find the proper legal help and the solutions that they require so that they can be living, the dreams of the Constitution that we all aspire to live with.
So you joined probono.org in 2023, correct? How would you describe the experience so far?
It's been an extraordinary experience for me, Emil, because, you see the academic side of access to justice, and it's a very romantic version where you talk about freedoms, you talk about equality, you talk about dignity. But on the practical side, the reality is that, unfortunately, applies to the majority of many souls in our country, primarily the historically disadvantaged communities who were disadvantaged pre-freedom in our country and are still, groping for that little hope that they can find access to justice and find remedies in a way that will allow them to live with dignity. And pro bono has been a fantastic platform in the sense that it has been there for long before I came on board. It started in 2006. It is now 18 years, on the trot. And in 18 years, pro bono has done wonderful things for poor and marginalized people. And for me, coming into that environment was basically living my dreams to ensure that I make my contribution, my journey to Human Rights Commission, to the human rights discourse has been phenomenal, because all my life I served in whichever capacity I worked in from 1994 right up till now. It was a journey, a step in the journey towards dignity, equality, and freedom. And where the mandate of the Constitution is basically to enable the historically marginalized to see their dreams like everybody else. We look at the preamble of the Constitution. And the preamble of the Constitution speaks to issues like recognizing the historical imbalances and the injustice of the past. We are now 30 years into freedom itself. What does it mean for you and I? What does it mean for, the privilege? What does it mean for the underprivileged? And it means different things to different people. For the privileged, obviously, they having a better life. They in comfort zones. But for the underprivileged, it's a question of them groping, just to make ends meet. And it's quite a daunting task, for parents who basically have to see their children get clothes on their back, food on their tables, a roof over their heads, and education, a decent education. All these things are part of the socio-economic rights, which I think are going to be the great drivers for change in the now and in the future. So the Constitution is an all-embracing, laudable Constitution that speaks to the historical imbalances of the past. We talk about civil and political rights, the right to vote, the freedom of movement, the freedom of expression. Those are soft rights, which I always term them to be. And then the hard rights are the right to water, sanitation, housing, social security, the right to a clean and decent environment, the right to decent housing. These are rights that are entrenched in the Constitution, but because they're progressive in nature, it means that there is that symbiotic relationship between the state and its citizens, as well as the non-citizens, where the state has to fulfill those rights that are entrenched in the Bill of Rights, the 27 rights in the Bill of Rights. As I said, they are socio-economic in nature, they are civil and political in nature. But for us, for the historically marginalized communities, the most important rights, over and above the right to live in dignity and the right to vote, is the right to have access to all these things that the Constitution promises to everybody. Those are hard to come by. And at pro bono, what we're finding is that we find the people who come to our doors come with various challenges and various difficulties. But I also, as the newly appointed National Director, found it fit to also embark on another strategy so that we can make lives of the poor easier, the poor and the vulnerable. So I embarked on what we call strategic impact litigation. Strategic impact litigation basically means you make one intervention, it affects many other people across the board, and that will send out strong messages to the powers that be that poor people have rights, and therefore their rights we will make sure as pro bono within our limited capacity and the funding constraints, we can make it happen for them. And that's what we do. What I like about pro bono is the fact that we are now located in 3 regional areas, Cape Town, Durban, and in Johannesburg at Constitutional Hill, right in the precincts of the Constitutional Court. Many people have asked me, why do you want to be at the Constitutional Court when you're an NGO and you're always complaining about funding and your funding constraints? And I say the proximity between where pro bono is located right now and the Constitutional Court, it's in the same vicinity. It's basically to say to everybody out there that we take people's rights very serious, and if we have to go to the Constitutional Court, we will do so. And so that comes to my next question, like the kind of issues that we basically deal with strategic impact litigation. We have done, for example, cases on the Caster Semenya matter. Caster Semenya, as many know, and many who don't know, is a global athlete, iconic athlete that broke the world ranks in athletics in 2008. But because she stood up for her right to dignity, they chopped her feet, literally chopped her feet from running because she refused to go for invasive medical surgery. And they said because her testosterone levels were very high, and therefore she was out competing, her competitors. She said, but I was born with these kind of things, and I'm not going to go for invasive medical surgery, which is illegal and unlawful in terms of the World Health Organization rules and regulations. I will definitely say no to you. For that, they punished her, and from 2008 till 2024, she's been sidelined. Yeah. That's the end of her career. But what it means is that her access to justice and her legal remedies were also denied. We then joined hands with her law firm, and together with the Chapter 9s, primarily the South African Human Rights Commission and the Commission for Gender Equality, we then took a case before the European Court of Human Rights, and we won that case. What had happened was the World Athletics body then appealed against that decision, and it made it even more difficult for Caster Semenya to access her justice. So we got the presidency to fund the case before the Grand Chamber of the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg on the 15th of May 2024. Why I highlight these issues is to show and demonstrate that pro bono takes every person's rights serious. We are committed to making sure that everybody gets their justice at the end of the day. So this is like social impact justice projects. The other one was Igoli Gas. Igoli Gas itself was another case where Igoli Gas, obviously through corruption, right? There was misappropriation of 280 million rand, which meant that they cut off the gas supplies to millions of people in Johannesburg. And I'm not talking 100 years, I'm talking now recently. Igoli Gas then basically, by them cutting off the gas supplies, affected the lives of millions of people to the cheapest gas in the world, where now people have to resort to getting gas through LP gas, which is much more expensive. Now, the unemployment rate is high, the inequalities are biting, the economy is stagnating. Against that background, we join hands with the Legal Resources Center, and we then filed, in the Constitutional Court for the remedies that the people on the ground needed. And we basically were vindicated in the sense that the Constitutional Court referred the matter back to the High Court, the Johannesburg High Court, to review its decision, where it dismissed the the case of the people in January. So I'm saying that's the second part, the second equation that we think makes impactful differences to the lives of people. The third one was the Usodino House fire in Johannesburg last year in 2023, where 77 lives were lost. We joined hands with Norton Rose Fulbright, CALS were generous. The Center for Applied Legal Studies were generous to give us the venue at Wits University. We got the unemployed law graduates to do 350 statements. We had the junior advocates at the Johannesburg Bar at Picture Chambers come and panel beat those statements, refine it, and present it within the time frames before the Kempepe Commission of Inquiry. And this Commission of Inquiry basically was a long drawn-out inquiry. It took us into the Johannesburg High Court, where we wanted the city of Joburg, who were the culprits in this particular matter, to give alternative accommodation to those victims at the Usodino House. We finally won that case. The second case before the Kempepe Commission, we brought an application with our partners, SERI, Socioeconomic Rights Institute, and probono.org, together with Norton Rose and probono.org. What we did was we brought an application for the recusal of a commissioner who was appointed by the Premier. And the Premier basically, we said to the Commission that this man needs to be removed from the hearing itself as a commissioner, because he tweeted 28 xenophobic utterances, and here he's sitting in this particular matter presiding over this. We felt that nobody can be a judge in their own cause, and it will prejudice the findings. Justice Kempepe agreed with us, and she basically dismissed him from the commission. So that was the second victory that we won in that particular matter. The third one was on the more substantive issue. Justice Kempepe found that the city of Joburg were liable for the causing of the death of those 77 victims. And so pro bono basically addresses these kind of issues. The next question is, what next? What next? And we are now monitoring the findings of the commission so that the city of Joburg must make good on what they have caused to the vulnerable and the poor people. I'm saying all these kind of things because they're all socio-economic in nature. It affects a broader society, and basically we are kind of worried because, we're looking at the National Development Goals of 2030, which talks about access to justice for all. We're looking at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Vision 2030, access to justice for all. We're looking at the African Union Agenda 2063 on access to justice for all. And it's all integrated. So what we've done at Pro Bono is basically entered into strategic collaboration partnerships with the bigger legal community, the General Bar Council, Advocates for Transformation, the Law Society of South Africa, the Legal Practice Council, and the organized legal profession who are basically supporting us, at Pro Bono. And we think that and SADC law as well, so that we're not only focusing on South Africa, we're also focusing on pro bono issues in SADC countries as well. So we're going wide there. Now, pro bono, its record is quite a consistent record. We have done, in my time since I've been appointed, 5,037 cases thus far in the last financial year. We don't do criminal matters because we don't have the capacity to do that. We only have 30 people in Johannesburg, Durban, and Cape Town. What we basically did with our 5,037 cases is 70% of those cases we resolved in-house. The 20% we basically farmed out to the organized legal profession who had expertise in different matters like housing, eviction, labor law, refugee law. And we are still grappling with those issues as well. Now we are donor-driven. Now, if you look at the 535 lawyers that work with us and they're doing it on a voluntary basis, we're saying that 535 lawyers, if you charge them out at 3,000 Rand per hour, and each one has to do 40 hours of work, as per the regulations, that comes to 69 million Rand worth of work. Can you imagine the output that Pro Bono has done in this particular matter? We've done 69 million Rand worth of work with a budget of about 11 to 12 million Rand itself.
So the one thing I wanted to find out is, with all the work you've done with the Casa Semenya case, the Igoli Gas,
Usodino
House, how would you encourage broader legal communities to support the work of probono.org? Because, you guys do quite a bit. The mentioning of the 5,000 cases, all the work you guys have done. So how do you encourage the broader legal community to support the work of probono.org?
I think it's a good question, and it's a very important question, because obviously, as I said earlier on, we only got 30 people, in-house lawyers with staff attorneys. The idea is with 535 legal practitioners who volunteered and came on board, this is the output. We did 5,037 cases. What we're encouraging is asking the ministry, through the Legal Practice Act itself, where pro bono 40 hours community service is going to become compulsory. As a result of that regulation, which is quite imminent, it's not in force yet, it's imminent, almost there. When that comes in, we're going to have access to 41,000 legal practitioners in this country that will have to do 40 hours of pro bono work. So you can imagine what the output then will be, in terms of pro bono work for poor and vulnerable communities. We are saying that we have an architectural framework in the sense that we have 3 offices. We work in Johannesburg, Durban, and Cape Town. We work with 3 community advice centers at another level. With 41,000 legal practitioners, be they advocates or attorneys, for us, they are part of the organized legal profession. You can imagine we will definitely realize the dream that are set in the National Development Plan Vision 2030, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Vision 2030, as well as the African Union Agenda Vision 2030. We are saying if we join hands with the Chapter 9s, that these are constitutional bodies like the Human Rights Commission, like the Commission for Gender Equality, the Auditor General's Office, we can basically make a difference that society needs. We can close the gap between the rich and the poor. We can make sure that the poor people will get access to proper legal services through our offices, because we're not giving them second-hand, second-rated legal services. We're giving them the access to the best legal services in the country, if not in the world. What we pride ourselves on at Pro Bono is that we have what we call a clearinghouse model. So the clearinghouse model basically means the following. A person who comes and consults with us usually will earn less than 7,700 Rand, and that's called the means test. Or they have property less than 350,000 or 500,000 Rand. We then, as the intake officers, will assess their case, determine the merits of their case, and depending on the complexity and the nature of the problems that they have, we would then refer those matters, to be dealt with people who have a greater expertise, be they the advocates, the attorneys, or legal advisors, to basically attend to these problems. And in that way, we think we can transform society, we can secure rights, and we can restore the dignity of everybody to live the constitutional dreams and the freedoms that we fought for from the time South Africa became a free country in April 1994. Now, I just want to end off by saying 2 things from my side. Next year is going to be next year is going to be a very important year for Pro Bono, because we are holding the International Convention Conference on the Rights of the Child, and that's going to be in June 2025. We basically, and that is because South Africa signed the International Convention on the Rights of the Child in 1995, so it's 30 years. We'll benchmark a conversation around that. But also in 2026, which is another milestone for us, is South Africa will be celebrating 30 years of its freedom. Pro Bono will be celebrating 20 years of its freedom. So it's it goes hand in glove. And so we will benchmark ourselves in line with our strategy of saying that we have planned for the year 2030 on access to justice in terms of the strategy we've adopted at Pro Bono. So we have short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. So our short-term goals are basically to restart the button, to press the button, restart, and review and revisit our modus operandi and how we do work. We've got a goal set for the short term, we've got a goal set for the medium term, and the goal set for the 2030 vision that the Constitution talks to, in line with the National Development Plan, which Parliament has adopted in 2015. And Parliament endorsed the 2030 United Nations Sustainable Development Goal on access to justice. So basically, pro bono has got that architectural framework to make a difference in society. We want to make that a difference. We have wonderful staff members across the board that are making it happen. And I'd like to conclude by saying that, we've come as part of redesigning our whole architectural framework. We have joined hands with Empire Partner Foundation, where they have designed an IT case management system that has allowed us to, take cases online and give every legal practitioner a certificate where they can present it to the Legal Practice Council to show that they've done their 40 hours of work. And this online system is a platform which we're going to kick off on the 1st of January 2025. I think it's going to be a revolutionary mechanism to basically make access to justice for all realizable, within reach, right? And we have all the backup that we've been from the EPF, staff and technical team to give us the entire project and program in such a way that anybody who comes to our doors will basically have proper legal representation at the end of the day. And obviously we're looking forward to that. I think this is global, it is revolutionary, it's never been done to my knowledge anywhere in the world. This project is worth about 6 million rand. It was gifted to us, and it's in recognition for the work, the important work that pro bono does. And we are grateful on behalf of the board, on behalf of the pro bono staff, we are grateful to EPF for that wonderful gesture. As I said, we are donor driven, right? We depend on funds. We do not get any funds from the state. And we are a registered law clinic with the Legal Practice Council. So anybody who wants to give us money as well, and many do give us money, we give them a Section 18A tax exemption certificate, which they can basically file with subs. So it's an ecosystem we're trying to create that can broaden the access to justice space so that we can get social justice impact. It's visible, and in that way, the ecosystem allows us to find the best legal eagles in the space to help us to reach out to the poor and the vulnerable in our society. Thank you.
Before we carry on, should I ask a question or just end it off over there? You did, yeah. Okay, cool. Let's end it off. Taking it from over here, outro. Well, Shafie, I must say, hearing your story on probono.org story, it's quite a wide, like an eye-opening vision to see from how you guys actually care about anyone and everyone. But I will say this has been such a great series that we've had with you guys, and hopefully we'll have another season 2 coming up with you. But for all of our listeners out there, if you guys did enjoy and you want to find out more about probono.org, you can go to the websites or go to Empire Partner Foundation to find out more, or watch our other previous episodes we've done of probono.org.
Yeah, so thank you. I think what I'd like to say is we think that these podcast series are important, and we'll continue the conversation. I think 2024, we set the scene, right? By introducing our staff members to the greater audience. But from 2025, we're basically going to focus on thematic legal topics, right? And we're going to get the experts in the field to come and talk to us, and basically do a constitutional literacy, advocacy, and awareness campaign in such a way that people start to get to know their rights. When people get to know their rights, it means that the other side will be wary to violate their rights. So this is the next step of our journey in the pro bono trajectory, to make access to justice a reality in our lifetime. We can do it. I think pro bono has got a fantastic track record. It started in 2006 with 4 volunteers and 150 cases, and it had a budget of 1 million rand. Today, we did 535 volunteer legal practitioners. We've done 5,037 cases, right?
So, I mean, the growth is just immense.
Yes, it's immense. And so therefore, I'm saying if we manage the process properly and we have got proper governance structures in place, and obviously pro bono's accountability is to a board of directors who basically would hold us accountable to 3 board meetings a year, where we basically have to account for everything that we do at pro bono. And we have a dedicated staff who basically make things happen. And we're also grateful to people like Ashraful Aid and a humanitarian NGO who gave us tea, biscuits, tea, coffee, sugar, milk, things that you and I will take for granted, because when we get up in the morning, we have food in our stomach. We have clients that come with no food in their stomach, and that's their daily lived realities. They have limited means. So giving them a cup of tea and warming their hearts basically is a wonderful experience. And then we also have Spiritual Orchards, who basically came on board and gave us jam sandwiches as well for our clients.
Oh, okay.
Now, to the to people out there, to some it may mean nothing, to others it means everything. But to pro bono, we say the journey to dignity starts at our office. The minute you walk in, we treat you with dignity, we treat you with empathy, we treat you with care, and we make sure that we give you the best legal help under the circumstances. Under the circumstances. What we also want to pride ourselves on is to say that every case we take it very serious. We are not scared of anybody. We will dispense with justice, as I have done in the Human Rights Commission when I was there. We had an independence to do so. I have an independence as National Director to do so. We do so without fear, favor, or prejudice. And obviously, we are earning the respect of the communities. We also have annual pro bono awards where we recognize people from the legal profession who add and contribute, to our growth and development, and we give them annual awards and and certificates of appreciation. So these are ongoing projects and programs that basically keep pro bono alive, and to say that as long as there's poverty, inequality, and unemployment, and the disparities in society, there'll always be a need for pro bono services in this country
definitely.
And in the world. Thank you.
Shafie, thank you one more time. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and pro bono story. And thank you guys for listening. If you guys did enjoy it, please leave a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also listen to all the other ones, because all the other episodes, they pretty much cover the different areas of law that pro bono does cover. Anyways, thank you guys so much.